message.
Il est passé. Super, l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe.
Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! Vi er i semifinale igjen!
Hello everyone, welcome to the Uninformed Handball Hour, another Patreon special for you as we build up towards the European Championship next week. And for this one, we're going to be doing a little bit of fantasy handball. Over the last few years, pretty much for every major championship, we've done a fantasy league on Hold It, but we're switching things up this month and we've got a new partner for this championship, Alex.
Yeah, we're moving away from Hold It, so you don't have to use your Google Translate anymore to participate in a league, and we're moving to app form. Look at us, into the future. Just as the world starts to embrace AI, we are going to use an app. And we have partnered with a new app called Handball Hub. This is an app which contains a lot of live scores, so it's something that you can keep a tab on all of the games going on in the handball world at all times. But their big feature is they do have an integrated fantasy league. So there is a fantasy league for the European Championship, which has just gone live. So me and Chris will have been one of the first participants in this game as we build our teams, and also actually has fantasy league games for the Champions League, which we might set up later in the season, and you can even play these mini fantasy league games throughout the season on individual games and get a global ranking. So all of this is kind of fun and exciting. It's a nice app to use. So we have partnered with Handball Hub to set up a Handball Hour League. So do download the Handball Hub app. You'll see very quickly where to join the game, and you can find the specific group for the Handball Hour. It's called Handball Hour, and you will have to type in the code
666-444.
666-444. But we will also send it to you, so you have it very easy, and we will send an invite link into the Discord. This is for all the Patreon listeners right now. Thank you for following us. We hope you enjoy what we try to give to you to make this a fun handball community. So thanks for following, and if you are new and you've just signed up, welcome. There's a lot more fun to be had on Patreon throughout the tournament. We have, I think, in that little overview that you built, Chris, there's about 15 podcasts coming your way over the next 3 weeks. So plenty of fun there. Today we thought that we would do a little preview of the game. We're not going to talk about teams. We're not going to talk about chances of winning. We're not talking about coaches. We are just talking about players who might do well in this fantasy league and in general in the tournament. Players who we're looking forward to seeing, but also in reference to their price. Who's good value, who is expensive, and when you do join, you'll quickly realize that this is a different ball game. Isn't that right, Chris?
Oh, yes. It's a bit more of a challenge than the old Hold It one in terms of creating your squad. You have to create a 10-player squad, so 7 players to be in your team and then 3 substitutes. And one of the main takeaways is that it's tricky with the budget you're given. It's an imaginary budget of €100 million to fill those 10 spaces, and it's not going to be as simple as just picking your favorite player in each position. You're going to have to find some interesting bargains in there and take some risks as well, and that's what we're going to try and help you through with this little guide. And also worth noting that each position actually has to be filled with a player in that position. Unlike in Hold It, where you could go for a team of left-handers in the backcourt, a couple of line players and 2 right wingers, you actually have to pick players in their actual positions for this one, and some of the rules that I think are kind of interesting to bear in mind as we go through in this as well. The main one in terms of the scoring, Alex, and so the scoring is 5 points for every goal scored, 3 points for every assist given, 3 points for every goalkeeper save, and then minus points for a 2-minute suspension, 2 minus points for that, and a 5 minus points for a red card. So I'm afraid Adrian Šipoš may not be getting a mention.
He looks like really good value. He looks like really good value in this squad. But defensive players, not necessarily a prime target for any of us, I think.
Yeah.
It's very much similar to kind of the Premier League Fantasy League. If you've ever played that, you're picking a squad, you're primarily sticking to it, limiting transfers and using your substitutes with 100 million budget. So let's get into it. And quickly, when you open the app, you'll realize that, well, of course you have to get Matthias Gidsel. Matthias Gidsel is the best player in the world. It would be crazy to not include Matthias Gidsel. But you will have to spend 20% of your budget at 20 million to sign him, leaving you with not that much to fill out the rest of your squad. So, Chris, did you go for Matthias Gidsel in your squad?
I went in with a very specific idea of what I was going to do with this squad, and the team name I've chosen kind of fits in with that. The team name is called Skinny Lefties, and so there had to be a skinny lefty in there to begin with. However, it is not Matthias Gidsel. I didn't choose him. 20 million out of 100 million overall feels like a little bit of a push. My initial call, because I was basically picking this position first, was, okay, I'm going to go with someone I know is going to produce points and is not the most expensive, but is going to go deep in this tournament. So my initial one for 15.3 million was Omar Ingi Magnusson. However, when I finished the whole team, I had just over 2.5 million budget left, so I decided to upgrade in that position, and I've gone for Kiko Costa at 17.2 million. Yeah,
so I've gone with Gidsel.
Yeah.
Crazy to not go with the best player in the world. And, we will get into this in our preview podcast. So, if you're looking for previews on the tournament, you just have to wait a couple of days and we'll get right into it. But Matthias Gidsel has never won a Euros. Matthias Gidsel is going to be absolutely raring to go for this tournament. And as opposed to a world championship, this is a tournament where every minute counts, every game counts. And even in the group stage at home, this is going to be just one of those tournaments where I think Gidsel is going to be everywhere all at once. Like really, even, I'll save it for the preview podcast, but looking at that Denmark backcourt, and yes, you have Putlik there, but after Putlik, you're really looking at a squad of incredible role players in the backcourt, because with the injury of Thomas Arnoldson, I think a lot of pressure will fall on Gidsel. And boy, does that guy love pressure. Boy, does he love playing every minute. Boy, does he love getting every steal and fast break. And he's going to rack those points up, and you're going to regret not having him in your team and as captain.
I may well go back to, it depends if I find somewhere eventually that I'm going to shave off a couple more million in this budget and go for him. But at the moment, I'm trying to find as nice a spread as possible and not just splash it all on Gidsel. But I do understand, like for the sake of another 2 or 3 million in this budget, it may not be worth to not have him in your squad.
Yeah, and to give a bit of reference on the game here, the cheapest players are at cost about 4 million. And again, you need to average about 10 million per player to get your 10 players in for 100 million. Out of the 4 million players, there's a lot of Georgians there. If you really need to do your research to find a gem in there, which I do think I have found.
Okay, very good. Very good. Very good. I mean, yeah, that's the other aspect of this. Like, half the teams are going to be knocked out after just 3 rounds. So it's not like the World Championship where, most teams are going through. You have to be somewhat picky straight away and think, okay, who can go here a little bit deeper in the tournament without transfers. But I think we'll probably realize as the tournament goes on, transfers are not going to be that painful either for people.
Yeah, and again, with the fact that you do have to pick players in their own positions, you're limited to only one right back, which is a challenge. Within that right back space, there's Omar Ingi Magnusson, who you mentioned, taking penalties, always important. You do have Kiko Costa, who you picked, again, one of the superstars generally at these tournaments. And actually, now that I look at it, Dika Mem is at a very tasty 12 million. Dika Mem, who is might be joining Gitzel in the future, according to some of the quotes from Bob Hanning. Don't know if you saw those.
Yes.
It was very inflammatory. I loved it. We talked about we need personalities in handball, and I think Bob Hanning might be the only one putting pressure on Dika Mem, saying player of your caliber needs to play in the NBA of handball, the Bundesliga. Forget about PSG. But at 12 million, Dika Mem actually looking very good. But then you have to give up Gitzel. That's the challenge here.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. What do they know about Dika Mem that we don't? That he's down and down that, like that he's a third choice right back in that sense, behind Melvin Richardson and Julian Boss in terms of money to be spent in this list here. Maybe this will alter a little bit almost straight away once the game begins, because the money does go up and down with performances, but there could be a lot of people trying to take advantage of that quite early. Is there anyone else in that right back position that jumps out to you? I mean, for me, you have also Renar Sistjens in there, 14.3 million. Not a bad call. The goal getter of the championship from 2 years ago, Niels Versteinen, is there, 15.5, because there's no Kai Smits at this tournament, so he'll be doing it all alone for the Dutch. But again, with the Dutch, there's no guarantee they're going to get through the first round.
That's it. That's it. And I think even Martinovic is another one there, 13.9 million, which seems like pretty good value overall, and a team that will likely get through and go very far in Croatia, just with the way that the draw is done. And I think it's nice to play Fantasy League in the Euros more so than the World Championship, because in the early rounds you get the big team, small team matchups in the World Championship, which mess with a Fantasy League, because teams rest their players. That's one of the challenges there. So you could spend money on a player and he just doesn't play, which is annoying. Or you need to really target those like big wins, which kind of, I think, defeats the purpose a little bit. You don't want to reward players who are just like constantly changing their team and optimizing it. Yes, sure, that's fun, but I think the overall balance of a team should be rewarded. So right back is the choice to make here. I think you kind of set it up and it's hard to go back. Yep. But for now, I have selected Matthias Giesel, but who knows? Things might change.
Who have you got in the centre-back position?
In the centre-back position is, I think, my bargain of the whole game.
Okay.
Number one bargain of the game, and that is Rasmus Lauge at a absolute discount price of 4 million. So no matter what, you should get him into your squad, even if it's on the bench to fill it out. I think Rasmus Lauge is the choice for playmaker. Really, with the injury of Thomas Aronson, as I mentioned, it is going to be Lauge that plays a lot. I do wonder if we're going to see a lot of Giesel at playmaker, as he's done for Fuchs Berlin, and Mads Hoxer playing at right back. Especially kind of for defense, that also, Mads Hoxer can fill in there. So, Lauge is a player that he's still only 34. He's playing in Denmark. He's had an okay season. Silkeborg are mid-table. He's playing okay. He's playing pretty well. But at 4 million, that's an absolute bargain.
That is an absolute bargain. There's one player in my team that I have later on who is my bargain. It's not him. I do have Lauge on my bench. Yeah, I was like him or Mensah as my one of my bench players. It had to be for 4 million. I also went for him. For me, I've gone with one of the top dogs in the playmaker position. My initial thought, like before I even saw the numbers and we're just writing down names, Aymeric Mean was the one I had in mind, but he was a little bit too rich for my taste. He's the highest rated player with 18 million. So I went down the list just a little bit, and I've gone for a player who I think has had, like at club level, a season which demands his picking in a team like this, and he is going to have a massive role for his country, who hopefully will have their breakthrough as well. Elias Ellison Ashipagatu. It would be rude if one of us didn't go for him. So I've gone in with him with 16.7 million because he is absolutely going to rack up the goals and assists in this tournament.
And does he take penalties for Faroe Islands? Because that is...
He sure does, yeah.
Even with Håkon Vestland Tigum, I think he does still take the penalties. So that's a big one.
Yeah,
massive tournament for the skipper here, and massive tournament for the Faroe Islands. It's again, we'll get into this in the preview podcast in full, but the way the groups have stacked up here, we really have line of sight of a Faroe Islands medal, which is crazy to say.
Oh.
It's crazy to say, but there's a world here where Faroe Islands are actually battling for a medal, which is pretty incredible, and the skipper has been absolutely phenomenal for Kiel this season. He has been injured. He missed a few of the last games of the season, so hopefully that he comes back from that. It wasn't a serious injury, but 134 goals in the Bundesliga this season is pretty phenomenal, and that's without penalties.
It's an exciting position in that regard. In terms of the players that have been put in there, it's a position that's become increasingly difficult to identify who actually plays there for a lot of teams, and I think we see that in the likes of like Remilly's in there as a centre back, who we have also got Yuri Knorr's in, Chris Jansen. They're both around 15 million. Filip Kuzmanovsky is in there, and he's lower rated in this league than he is in the Hold It league, where I think he's the second highest rated player. I think a lot of people fancying him to really rack up the points in the preliminary round as well. Whether North Macedonia qualify out of the group is another question. Currently, I don't have them in there, but yeah, some interesting potential picks in there. Luke Steins is another one who we know will rack up points, but yeah, for me, I think Ashipagatu, and I really like your, in terms of like as I said, a position where we don't really know who's going to end up in there. Having someone like Rasmus Lauge, you could imagine him playing at least 15 minutes every game, and just adding some points to the tally.
Yeah, and Aymeric Mean, he is the difference for France this year. And again, we won't give up too much, but I think there is a circumstance where Aymeric Mean is the best his best player in this championship. He has been just so good for Nantes this season. He's the second top scorer in the French league with 109 goals, shooting a ridiculous 73%. So that's over 7 goals a game in the French league, and kind of backing that up in the Champions League as well. Very, very good. I think Grundal is the player who I actually went for initially. Tobias Grundal, 14.6 million, I think is pretty good value. If you want, you can kind of go for a tactic of going for the big stars or a couple of the middle value players, and I think he is a good one here. Norway are probably going to be his team. He's grown into the season with Victor Berlin. He was just thrust in with injuries they had, and assists also count here, so could be a good player. But I think Aymeric Mien probably a little bit too rich. And interestingly, we have Simon Putlik also in the playmaker position here, 17 million. We know what he does at championships, so
when he gets angry.
So
Put him up against Croatians and we'll see the best of him.
For now, I've picked Lauga, but now that we're going through this, I'm quickly rethinking my whole squad. So by the time we finish this podcast, my squad could be quite different. Shall we go to left back?
Yeah, left back. I mean, another player we talked about at the end of last year who is really coming into great form in the French league is Elohim Prandi. He's a top rated player in this one at 19 million, but was he worth it for you, Alex?
He wasn't. Again, and I'm giving away my previews here, but god damn it, France look good.
Yes.
On paper, France look really, really good. We talked about Mem, Richardson. We didn't even mention Remily, Aymeric Mien, and Elohim Prandi. And if that is not a backcourt to strike fear into opponents, I don't know what is. Prandi, he is averaging 8.4 goals a game. So 84 goals in 10 matches in the Champions League. He's backing that up with another 80 goals in the French league. And he's been one of the kind of sensations, I think, this season in full flow. But again, you can only really pick one absolute premium player, or maybe two, and he didn't make it for me. I've gone with a weird one, and maybe this is one that will change, but Uros Borjas is very good value for Serbia as their only left back in the squad, or only fixed left back in the squad. He's at a discount price of 7.7 million.
That is very, very cheap. That is very cheap, yeah. I've gone for someone not quite that cheap, but again, you have to make room in the budget for other players. So I went away from the top dogs, went all the way down to 11.6 million, and a bit of a fallen star who I feel could get some points here. You mentioned Norway. They'll go into the main round. They'll be scrapping away in the main round. They're a host nation. Sanders Augustin is in my squad. He may come back to haunt me with a number of 2-minute suspensions and red cards, but he could also get some points in the board.
That's a good pick. Fallen from grace has not really been the Sanders Augustin that we know for Aalborg this season. He's been a squad rotation player, essentially, but that also means that he is pretty, hopefully going in quite fit into this tournament, which we probably haven't seen in a little while. And it's not bad. Some of the top choices, let's say, for left back, weirdly, Håkon Thrasterson is the second most expensive left back. And I know we really like him. He's had a great season, but I think that's probably a bit too expensive. Marco Gergic for Germany, I think, is primed to have a big championship, and Germany really need him to have a big championship. He is no longer the breakout star. He had that in the last championship. He had that in the Olympics. It's okay, if Germany are going to make a dent in this championship, they need Gergic at full Eisenach levels, really rampaging through. And he's shared time with Putlik this season. They've kind of taken turns for Flensburg, who to step up. It will be interesting to see how he handles the pressure, because there is going to be pressure on him and this German team in this championship. They've shown that they can actually compete with the big dogs. And I think at this point for Germany, they're going to be expected to compete right at the top level. And they're in that mass of groups A, B, and C that are going to be, it's going to be a dogfight for a semi-final place. So from minute one, pressure will be on. Martin Costa, generally a very good pick, is at 15 million. The Simon Luse is the player. That's the interest to see if Sagosen even gets a starting spot, as Simon Luse has been really, really good for Kolstad and for Norway over the last while, and potentially on the move to PSG. So he'll have a lot to prove there. Eric Jonsen at 14.5 million, I think, is pretty good value. Yep. He is going to be the spark for Sweden, where probably Klar is going to be the engine, while Eric Jonsen's going to be the spark. I like the look of Lenny Rubin for Switzerland, and hey, Switzerland, I like the look of in general. I really, really like the look of in this championship. So that might be a decent choice. As always, at left back, there's a little bit less selection. So going cheaper on your left back is probably a decent choice. Zoltan Zita for Hungary, probably a decent shout. Or you can get a bit of Vuko Borzan to add a bit of fire into your squad, a bit of excitement into your life.
All right, moving on to the wings then. On the left wing, I've got my cheapest starting player, and a little bit of kind of breaking news for you all that has also inspired this for me. Jerry Tolbring is out of the tournament. He has been sent home with an injury, which leaves the door wide open for 60 minutes every game and penalties for Hampus Vanna at €4 million. Yes. I'm putting him in there.
Okay.
Great value.
Bargain of the championship, I think. I will absolutely switch to Vanna. That is the goal-getting machine from Hoylite now, formerly of Barcelona, but that's a serious pick. I don't exactly know why he's that cheap. I don't think this game thinks that Sweden are not going to use their wingers at all, by the looks of it.
They sure do in real life. These prices are really going to vary after like one or two rounds, I think, which is interesting. So yeah, I've got. Who did you have now before this big revelation?
Yeah, I had a player that I'm very excited for in this championship, and that is Noam Leopold.
Oh yeah.
Swiss left winger for Nantes, who
really
is having a breakout season.
Here.
Oh, I'm big in on the Swiss in this championship. Noam Leopold, with his famous wrist, he's been really, really incredible for Nantes. He is pricey at 14.6 million. So at a 10 million discount, I will likely go down to Hampus Vanna. But I think there is value in getting strong wingers in this game. Penalty takers, fast breakers. Yes, this is a European Championship, so, the games are going to be tight, but very important to get yourself a good winger. I went with Leopold. I will probably switch to Vanna. Otherwise, Emil Jakobsen is right up there, 14.5 million. August Pedersen is the most expensive left winger, who has been absolutely phenomenal for Hanover Bergdorf this season, but likely a little bit pricey. Otherwise, I think Sebastian Frimmel for Austria is nice value, but
always good.
He's always got a championship. Milos Vujovic as well is an exciting player at these championships.
His certain red card at some point is a little bit of a downfall for me.
That is fair, and I think the only downside of getting Emil Jakobsen is that likely he will still share time with Magnus Landin. And that's primarily for defensive purposes. Magnus Landin being able to cover a lot more on defense. Dylan Nahi at 9.6 again to throw a bit of excitement into your life. Otherwise, slim enough options at left wing.
On the right wing, I've also considered who is likely to play the most in a team. Because as you said, splitting time for wingers can be really painful because, if you're doing 15 minutes each half or a half each, chances are there are times they just won't touch the ball for 15 minutes and then the other guy comes on and gets 4 goals straight away. So knowing that a player is going to play a lot is crucial for me. And Odin Thor Rickardsson is the only right winger on the Iceland team. So he's my choice on the right wing at 11.4 million. We also know that he is a goal machine when he gets the chance. Still doing the business for Cadetten Schaffhausen. And I think he'll have a real chance to shine because there's no Sigvaldi Gudjonsson in the Iceland team this year.
I went with Marius Sosteric, who has been definition of a goal machine for quite some time. He's top scorer in the Champions League last year. He's got 59 goals in the Champions League this season. And he's actually just done really good things for me in fantasy league teams before. So he's a good choice. Leo Pratner for Italy. They may get knocked out early and if he's fit, but we know what he can do at a championship.
A lot of really good players in there. Novak has been impressive. I think maybe a little bit too expensive considering where he's at and that they have Blazjans as well in the Slovenia team. Zerba on the right wing for Germany. Alish Gomez also, will rack up the goals for Spain. And we mentioned Håkon Vestav Taigam, who is basically the only winger that Ollie Mitton and Asha Pagatu trust. So if they're not taking the shots, they pass the ball to him on the right wing. So I think there are a lot of good options. Yanis Len is a decent price for France as well, 11.2 million. Antonio Rea, 11 for Portugal, who will go deep into the tournament. Bense Imre.
I think he's very nice value there. That's nice value for Bense Imre, who is moving back to Veszprém next season. So finally, young Hungarian player is good enough to play for Veszprém after playing in Kiel for a little bit.
A lot of good choices there, and I think worth spending a little bit of cash on that right wing. There'll be goals there for somebody. So to your position, Alex, on the line, who have we got?
Line players in these fantasy games are not generally where the value lies. I think one, because they do defend. They might get a few 2 minutes, and the amount of goals is limited for a line player. You rarely see a player getting into the double digits. So I've gone with a discount player, and I think one of the value players in this championship, and that's Felix Müller for Sweden on the line, who is 4 million. I think he's a really, really good value. For Sweden, he is pretty much their starting line player. I think Max Dari might be there for the defensive end, but he's going to get a lot of minutes. He's
probably the best attacking line player because Dari and Bergendahl are both beasts defensively.
Yes.
But you could imagine that he'd be put in there for his attacking prowess. Yeah,
exactly. Who did you go for?
One player we know who won't be playing in the defense for France is Nicolas Tournat. But he's very pricey, and I think that shows a little bit in his 14.1. So I've gone with a player who I just know will have a big impact in the tournament one way or another, Ludovic Fabregas is in there for me at 12.
That's good value for Fabregas. 12 million, decent value. The most expensive line player in the squad in the game is Yannick Kohlbacher. For Germany, he does score goals, but he might be spending a bit of time with Justus Fischer and Johannes Gola. So it's a stacked line player position for Germany again, with Nicolas Tournat and Fabregas splitting time in attack at least. You do have Benza Benhidi, a classic attacking only line player at 12.3 million, which is probably good value. Magnus Saustrup is only 11 million, but he doesn't rack up the goals, but he'll be very solid for you. And if you want a bit of value and you love Switzerland as much as I do, Lucas Lauba at 9.5 million.
That is a good shout.
Is not a bad choice there. Victor Ituriza, 9.3 million. He always shows up at these championships. So a bit of value to be had. And Dragan Pekmalbek for Serbia at a cheap 7.6 million.
There's a lot of value to be had there, for sure. But it is also, the one that you'd be most nervy about, because there's going to be so many points lost for 2-minute suspensions. I think the setup of this game is going to hurt line players a lot, and unless you are just going to play in the attack. So, in the goalkeeper position, then this is a big one. I have gone with Dominik Kuzmanovic, 14.8 million. In terms of goalkeepers, way down the list. 14.8 is a lot of money, but there's a lot of more expensive goalkeepers in this list than he is. And I think he is going to dominate time in between the posts for Croatia.
I've read into the fact that the goalkeepers are expensive in this game. Most you have the top 10 goalkeepers being 16 million or more. Yeah. So I don't actually know the exact point system for goalkeepers.
Oh, it's three points for a save.
3 points for a save.
Yes. Yeah. So it's as much as an assist. It's 5 points for a goal. So a Matthias Gietzel 8-goal game will get you 40 points. A 13 save game will get you 39 points. And so that's kind of where we're at there. So someone getting 16, 17 saves, which is absolutely possible, that will rack up the points big time.
In that case, I'm happy with my choice of Emil Nielsen.
There is one man who will get 16, 17 per game,
The only player who can look at any backcourt in the world and smile and laugh, even if it is the French backcourt. He's going to be, and has been, difference maker for Denmark for the last couple of championships, equally so to Gietzel. And I think he's good value at 16.5. He is the 9th most expensive goalkeeper. So
that's not great. maybe now is the time to get him, actually.
So that's the squads. Then there's a few you do need to get 3 substitutes, which does make it harder. Ideally you go for something nice and cheap and cheery at 4 million for most of them, and my 3 were Rainier Taboada, the Cuban Dutch left back, 4 million, Philip Teleski for old time's sakes, and Rutger ten Velde. I've decided to include him because he usually has a good championship, scores a lot of penalties.
How much was he?
He's 7.8, so I went a little bit more expensive with him.
Yeah, that's good. That's still good value for sure on him, because he did rack up the goals in the World Championship. But again, this is a bit different with the Euros. There are 3 cards you'll see, or 3 chips up at the top underneath your budget, which will be used during the tournament, and one of them is called a bench boost, in which the scores from your bench are used in a round. So also worth actually making some proper choices if you're going to use them at some point. I too have gone for Philip Teleski. I mentioned before Rasmus Lauga is in there as one, and Jonathan Karlsbogard was also 4 million, and he is very good for assists and a few goals, but will also cost a little bit on suspensions, which is maybe why he's there. So they're my 3.
Yeah, so actually quite a lot of, with a few of those value picks. So the likes of Hampus Vanna, Rasmus Lauga, you know, with those players in the squad, you can actually extend your budget. You can really make it work. So if you listen to this, you know the value picks and you can have a bit more fun with the team, because as I did it for the first time, I was struggling, but I think I have a bit more fat in my squad to work out. And
Nice.
we will post our teams on our socials. We'll post all the links on Patreon. And again, the way to get into this fantasy league is to download the Handball Hub app. You can get it on, you know, any app store you have on your phone. Join the game and look for the groups. When you join a group, type in 666-444 and you'll find the Handball Hour group with me and Chris waiting for you.
That's it. And more podcasts coming your way as we ramp up the build up to the championship. We'll do 2 full preview podcasts. So 1 podcast each for 3 of the groups, or we'll have some experts come in and chat with us as well. We'll be recording the first of those on Thursday and hopefully out later that day. And then the second preview coming out early next week. But until then, everyone, get your Handball Hub app downloaded, get your teams ready, and we'll catch you again for the next Build Up podcast soon. Goodbye.